The floor was cold. Jace opened his eyes slowly. The room was spinning. His head pounded like a hammer was beating inside his skull. He pushed himself up with weak arms, his hands shaking. The walls were smooth metal, dark gray, curved like a dome. No windows, no doors, just silence. Then he noticed the thing around his neck, a glowing band, silver and smooth, with a soft blue light pulsing like a heartbeat. He reached up and pulled nothing. It wouldn't budge. No clasp, no buttons. It was tight, but didn't choke. Just there, silent. Watching, panic hit him. He stood up quickly, too quickly. The room swayed again. His knees buckled. He leaned against the wall and took deep breaths. Where was he? This wasn't Earth. He remembered falling asleep in his bunk on the mining ship. Just a normal night in space. He had checked the engine logs, grabbed a protein bar. Nothing weird. No alarms. No attack. And now this, suddenly, the wall in front of him shimmered and vanished. A doorway appeared out of nowhere, just thin air bending. A figure stepped inside, tall. Pale skin that shimmered with faint silver scales. Long black hair flowing like ink in water. Her eyes were bright violet, not painted, not contact lenses. Glowing. And her voice, soft, musical, but cold. "You are awake," she said. Jay stared. "What the hell is this? Where am I?" "You are safe," she answered. "That is all that matters now." She stepped closer, her bare feet silent on the metal floor. She looked him over, not cruel, not kind. Like someone inspecting a tool, or a pet. Jace backed up, fists raised. "Don't come closer. Take this thing off." She tilted her head, curious. "You do not remember the binding." "What binding?" She placed her hand gently over her own collar, one that matched his exactly. Then, softly, she said the words that froze the blood in his veins. "We are tied now, human, forever. You can never leave." Jace stared at her. "Tied? What are you talking about?" "It is the ancient bond," she said, stepping closer. "A connection of life and mind. You wear the collar, and so do I. Your thoughts, your feelings. They are mine. Mine are yours. I didn't agree to this." "You did not have to," she whispered. "You were chosen." Jace lunged at her, grabbing her shoulders. "Undo it." The moment his fingers touched her, the collar around his neck flared bright blue, like a burning star. Pain shot through. His body, his chest tightened, his legs gave out, and he fell to his knees, gasping. And then, he heard her scream. She had fallen to on her knees, gripping her chest, eyes wide with shock. "You hurt me," she gasped. You feel it too." They both froze, breathing hard. Eyes locked. Jake let go of her. "What is this thing?" he said through clenched teeth. "It is not just metal," she whispered. "It links our bodies and our pain. If you die, I die." Jace looked down at the collar again. It pulsed once more, slow and steady. He tried not to shake. She stood up slowly and offered him her hand. He ignored it. "Why me? Lost. Why not someone?" "From your world, I did not choose you," she replied. "I only followed the will of the priests." "Who the hell are the priests?" "They are the ones who made this bond long ago. For war, for control, for love." Her voice grew soft. "But now they use it for something else." Jace stood on his own. "You said I can never leave." She looked down, her face unreadable. "If you go too far, the collar will kill us both." There was a silence. A long, heavy silence. Then Jace laughed, just once, sharp and bitter. "So, I'm your prisoner." She looked at him, then not with pride, not with power, but something almost like Sorrow. No, she said softly. I am yours too. Asterisk, the metal collar glowed again, but this time it was not soft blue. It turned red. Jace screamed. The pain wasn't sharp like a knife. It was worse, like fire crawling under his skin. His arms shook, his chest clenched tight. He fell to the floor, trying to claw the collar off his neck. Outside the room, Sirexa collapsed too. She dropped to her knees in the hallway, gripping her head. Her voice was silent, but her scream echoed in Jace's mind. He heard her, felt her. And in that moment, the pain doubled his pain and hers, together, burning through both bodies. Then, stopped. The collar dimmed. The fire vanished. Both of them lay still, breathing fast. Jace rolled onto his side, gasping. His skin was covered in sweat. What the hell was that? Sirex's voice came weakly from the walls. Come. You pulled away from me. Didn't go anywhere. You fought the bond, she said. You rejected me. Jace pushed himself up, furious. You kidnapped me. I saved you. She shouted through the then silence. After a while, the door shimmered open. Sirexa entered, looking pale. Her steps were slow. She seemed drained, like the pain had left her hollow. Jace stayed where he was, breathing hard. What is this thing really? You said we were connected, but that wasn't connection. That was torture. She sat across from him, folding her long legs under her. Her collar still glowed faintly red. It punishes resistance. The bond only works with acceptance. Unity. You pull a weight burns. You try to break, it kills. And if I accept it, Jace asked bitterly, do I become your pet forever? No, she said, looking down. You become part of me, and I part of you. He stared at her. Her tone had changed. There was no pride in her voice, no control. Just exhaustion. Jace stood up slowly and backed away from her. There has to be a way out of this. There isn't, Sirexa said quietly. This collar is ancient. Even my people have forgotten who built it. The priests only know how to use it, not break it. Then they're not priests, Jace growled. They're jailers. Sirexa didn't answer. Jace walked to the wall and touched it. Open the door. I want out. If you go too far, she warned, the collar will tighten. Then it will burn. Then it will stop your heart. Mine too. I'll take the risk, Jace said. He stepped into the hallway. 1 step. 2 steps. 3. The collar pulsed, for he gritted his teeth. 5. The light flashed red again. 6. His knees gave out. Sirexa ran to him. She held his arms, eyes wide with panic. Stop. You'll die. I'd rather die than be a prisoner. I'm not your enemy, she cried. Jace shoved her off. The collar flared once more, this time brighter than ever. And then, something changed. Instead of burning, the pain paused. Jace froze. Sirexa froze. The collar turned from red to white. Both of them looked at each other. The glowing light between them flickered like lightning, connecting their collars with a thin strand of energy. It wasn't pain anymore. It was feeling. Jace suddenly knew Sirex's fear. Her sorrow, her deep regret. It hit him like a wave. Memories that weren't her face as a child, standing before the priests. A voice saying, you will serve. Her tears when they forced the collar on her. It's the first time she saw Jace's unconscious body in the pod, and the moment she realized they were now bound. She hadn't wanted this either. Sirexa gasped and stepped back. You saw it, Jace nodded, trembling. Sirexa touched her collar. The bond, it opened. Jace sank to the ground. We really are tied together. Yes, she said. But why me? He asked. Why a human? I don't know. She whispered. But they said your kind bonds deeply, strongly, with emotion, with meaning. Jace looked at her. That's not a gift. That's a trap. Sarixa nodded. Yes, a trap. That changes us both. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Finally, Jace stood up again. He looked down the long hallway. Then let's stop running, he said. Let's find whoever made this collar and make them pay. Sarix's eyes widened. You would fight. With me? Jace looked at her, then at his collar. If I'm stuck with you, I'm not going to be quiet about it. A flicker of a smile touched her lips, small, sad, but real. Then come, human. Let's find the truth together. They walked side by side down the corridor. Not enemies, not yet friends. But something was beginning. The desert was endless. Orange sand rolled like waves under a dying red sun. Broken machines and half-buried ships poked out of the ground like bones. The air was dry, full of heat and silence. Jace pulled his jacket tight as the wind howled. Sarixa walked beside him, silent, focused. Her silver skin shimmered under the harsh sunlight. The collar on her neck blinked faintly blue, then white, then blue again. They had landed on the surface of Aurak Prima, forgotten planet at the edge of the galaxy. No cities, no life. But Sarixa said the answers were buried here. This world was once a center of knowledge, she told him, before the Shadow Priest destroyed it. Jace raised an eyebrow. Shadow Priests? Sarixa nodded. They were the first to learn how to twist the bond. They created the collars, not to connect, but to control. Jace stared across the sand. Then we're standing in their graveyard. No, Sarixa said softly. Their temple still stands. They walked for hours until the sand shifted beneath their feet. Sarixa raised her hand and pointed. There. A dark shape rose ahead, half sunken, almost hidden. Black stone walls, carved with alien runes, curved like fangs. The air grew colder. Jace whispered, That doesn't feel like a temple. Feels more like a trap. Sarixa nodded. It is both. They entered. Inside the temple, light faded. The stone walls seemed to breathe. Symbols glowed faintly along the ceiling. Jace felt his collar grow warmer as they stepped deeper into the ruin. Sarixa touched a stone panel. Suddenly, the room lit up, dim blue light filling the hallway. In the center of the room stood a strange figure. Old, thin, covered in robes made of shadows. Its face was hidden behind a mask of smooth bone. The figure didn't move. It spoke in a voice that wasn't sound, but echo. Welcome, bonded ones. Jace reached for a weapon. He had none. Who are you? I am the Keeper, the voice answered. I guard the truth. And the truth is this. You were not chosen. You were used. Sarixa stepped forward. You're one of them. No, the Keeper said. I was once like you, a victim of the collar. Now, I remain to warn others. Then help us break it, Jace growled. The Keeper laughed, a hollow, empty sound. You cannot break what has already become part of you. The bond is not a chain. It is a seed. The more you fight it, the deeper it grows. Jace clenched his fists. We're not here to grow. We're here to end this. You still do not understand, the Keeper said. The bond does not make you prisoners. It makes you weapons. Sarix's voice shook. What kind of weapon? Emotional energy, the Keeper whispered. The deeper your connection, the more power you release. Pain, joy, love, hate. All of it becomes energy, and the priests feed on that. Jace froze. They feed on us. Yes, the priests are no longer flesh. They are thought. They exist only in the bond energy. That is why they keep creating more linked pairs to survive. Sarixa stepped back, horrified. Then we're just batteries to them? More than that, said the keeper. You are their future. The stronger your feelings, the stronger they grow. Jace felt a chill crawl up his spine. So if we hate each other, they win. If we love each other, they win. Yes, the keeper whispered. JSC looked at Sarixa. For a moment, silence. Then Jace asked, can we turn the bond against them? The keeper paused. You could, he said slowly, if you reached full sync. If you trusted each other completely. The bond would open fully, and with that power, you could burn them. But Jace asked? The keeper tilted his head. You're not ready? Not yet. Jace stepped forward. Then make us ready. Sarixa spoke up, her voice steady now. We don't want to run anymore. The keeper raised his hand. A wave of energy washed over them both. Images, memories, sounds rushed into Jace's head, flashes of old battles, screaming voices. Crying children wearing collars. Then came the pain. Both Jace and Sarixa dropped to the floor. The collar flared white-hot. Their bodies shook. This was not training. It was truth and truth. Hurt the keeper's voice echoed one last time. The priests are still watching. They will come for you now. Be ready, bonded ones, or be broken. Later. Outside the temple, Jace lay in the sand, breathing hard. His muscles ached, but his mind felt sharper. Different, Sarixa knelt beside him, her hand resting on his shoulder. We're not just tied anymore, Jace whispered. We're connected. Sarixa didn't speak, but he could feel her answer deep inside. They weren't alone anymore, and now the real enemy had a face. Asterisk, the storm came from nowhere. 1 second, the desert sky was calm. The next, it cracked with thunder. Dust turned to wind. Wind turned to fury. Red clouds circled above like angry eyes. And in the center of the chaos, they came. 3 shadows, tall, silent, robed in black mist. Jace knew who they were before. Sarixa whispered their name. The shadow priests. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Jace felt them in his mind. Cold whispers. Empty thoughts. Their presence made the collar burn not with pain, but pressure, like it was being squeezed from the inside. Sarixa stepped in front of him. You want him? She shouted into the storm. You'll have to go through me. One priest raised his hand. A wave of dark energy shot forward like liquid night. Sarixa tried to block it, but it threw her back like a leaf in wind. She crashed into the sand, gasping. Jace ran to her, but the priests moved forward, floating, emotionless. Jace clenched his fists. He had no weapons, no armor, just rage. And the bond, he knelt beside Sarixa. She looked up at him, eyes full of pain. I'm not strong enough. She whispered. Jace grabbed her hand. Yes, you are. Her collar flickered. Jace's mind burned not with fear, but with everything else. The pain of being taken, the confusion, the anger, and then the care. The way he stayed, the way she protected him, all of it flowed into the collar. It lit up blue, then white, then gold. The light surged. Sarixa gasped. Her body lifted off the ground. Her eyes flashed white. The wind around them slowed. JC stepped back as the air bent around her. Wings. Wings made of energy spread from her back, wide, glowing, powerful. Her feet floated above the sand. Her hair flowed like fire. The priests paused. Sarixa opened her eyes. You feel me now? She said. Voice louder than the wind. We are not your fuel anymore. We are fire. She dove forward fast. Too fast. She slammed into the first priest, sending him flying across the sand. The second raised a barrier too late. She broke through like glass, her fists glowing. With every punch, the bond surged between her and Jace's heart raced. Her speed increased. His focus sharpened. Her aim became perfect. The third priest tried to vanish, but Syrexa spread her arms and unleashed a blast wave of pure light. Jace was knocked back by the force, but the priests were thrown away like broken dolls. Silence returned. The clouds cleared. The sand settled. Syrexa landed slowly, her glowing wings fading into sparks. Jace rushed to her. "Are you okay?" She nodded. "Yes, I'm more than okay." He helped her sit down. The collar on both of them now glowed gold. "You flew," he said, breathless. "I didn't know I could," she whispered. "It came from you." "No, it came from us." They sat there in the warm silence for a while. The sun dropped lower. In the sky, painting the horizon orange. Syrexa looked at him. "I felt everything, Jace. Your fear, your anger, your trust." Jace nodded. "I felt you too, all of you." They didn't need to say much more. The bond had spoken louder than words. But then, the sky flickered again. Not a storm, a ship, a giant vessel descending from orbit, shaped like a black fang. Syrax's face changed. "That's not one of ours." "Then whose is it?" "I don't know," she said. "But it's looking for us." Jace stood, watching the ship approach. "Then we'd better not be here when it lands," Syraxa said. "We don't run anymore." He looked at her. She stood up beside him, collar glowing, steady gold. "We just proved we can fight back," she said. "Now it's time we find the ones behind all of the sand and it." Jace smiled. "Lead the way." They turned toward the dunes, two glowing lights walking side by side. No longer just prisoners, now something more. The black ship landed hard. Sand flew in all directions. Heat waves shimmered around the dark metal hull. Doors hissed open on its sides, and creatures began stepping out slow, steady, tall. They were not priests, they were hunters. Six-legged, armored bodies. No eyes, only sensing tongues that tasted the air. Long, sharp claws that clicked as they walked. They spread out quickly, forming a half-circle. In the center stood one larger than the rest, its collar shining blood red. Syrexa whispered, "Bonded." "Killers," Jace looked at her. "Like us?" She nodded slowly. "Ah! But they were made for only one thing. Obey, kill, repeat." The large one turned and pointed its claws straight at Jace. "Target, human male. Directive, contain alive." Jace tensed. "Alive? That's new." Syrexa grabbed his arm. "They want to extract the bond. They'll tear it out of you while you're still breathing." Jace didn't wait. He ran. They raced across the dunes, boots sinking in the hot sand. Blasts from the killers hissed past their heads, melting holes into the ground. One strike came close to and Syrexa threw up a shield of light, the collar flaring white, but her steps slowed. Jace saw it. "You're weak again," he said. "The wings your power, it's fading." She nodded, panting. "The bond needs emotion. Deep emotion. I need something real to pull from." Jace blinked, then reached out and grabbed her hand. He pulled her close and looked into her eyes. "Then feel this, I'm not letting you die. Not ever." Syrax's collar pulsed golden. Her body lit up once more. The ground cracked behind them. As the wings returned, wrapping them both in a glowing cocoon. She pulled Jace into her arms and leaped. They soared through the air just barely above the enemy's range. The killers chased below, fast and hungry. Up ahead, Jace saw something smoke. Over there. He shouted. It was a broken research station half buried under sand, but large enough to hide in. Metal walls, scorched towers, flickering lights. It had once been alive. Now, it was dying. Scirexa dove, landing roughly inside what looked like a burned-out hangar. The moment they touched the floor, the wings vanished. Scirexa collapsed, trembling. I can't keep doing that. Not without more connection. Jace crouched beside her. Then we need to hide. Just for a minute. The doors hissed shut behind them, but they wouldn't stay closed for long. Outside, the killers were getting closer. They moved in silence, sniffing the air, claws tapping like clockwork. Inside the station, Jace found what looked like an old fuel tank, mostly empty, but still flammable. He turned to Scirexa. Can your power ignite this? She looked up weakly. If I had enough strength, yes. Then let me give you something to pull from. He grabbed her hands again and pressed his forehead to hers. I'm scared, but I'm here. You're not alone. Her collar began to glow again. He added softly, I'm choosing you. Not because of the bond, but because you're the first. One who ever fought beside me like this. And I won't lose that. Sirex's eyes filled with light and something else. Emotion, something real. The collar flared golden dot, just as the walled Jace ran to the fuel tank. Now, Scirexa stood tall. The energy around her exploded. A wave of pure golden fire blasted through the room. The tank ignited. Boom! The explosion shook the station to its bones. The fire spread fast, blocking the entrance. The killers inside were thrown back, some torn apart. The others retreated. Their programming no match for uncontrolled flames. But Jace and Scirexa were untouched. The fire circled them, but didn't burn them. Sirex's wings returned once more, brighter than ever. She looked like something holy. Something dangerous. Jace stared. You're glowing. You are too, she said softly. They turned, walking through the burning hallway together. The station fell apart behind them. Outside, the desert wind howled again, but this time it was behind them, not against them. They didn't speak for a while. Then Scirexa broke the silence. I think, Allah, I'm starting to understand what the bond really wants. What's that? Jace asked. She turned to him, eyes still bright. It doesn't want control. It wants choice. Asterisk, the night on Aurak Prime was colder than ice. Stars above didn't shine, they watched. Below them, Jace and Scirexa sat by a quiet fire inside the ruins of a broken tower. The flames flickered gently, casting gold light on their tired faces. Their collars still glowed faintly, but not bright. Fading, they had used too much power. Scirexa leaned back against a stone wall, eyes closed, voice soft. If we don't rest, we won't survive the next fight. Jace nodded, arms crossed. We need more than rest. We need a way to end this. Just then, a sound soft metallic came from the shadows. They both jumped to their feet. A figure stepped out, hands raised. Not a priest, not a killer. A scientist. He wore a long gray coat. His skin was pale blue, eyes tired but kind. On his belt, strange tools glowed softly. I'm not here to harm you, he said gently. I'm here to help. Scirexa narrowed her eyes. Who are you? I am Liren, he said. I used to serve the priests. I created collars like yours. Before I learned the truth. Jace stepped forward. Then you know how to remove them. Liren hesitated. Yes, he said slowly. But there is a cost. Silence. What cost? Scirexa asked. The collar is not a device anymore, Liren explained. It's now a living bond. It has grown roots inside your minds, your hearts. To break it, one of you must give. Up everything, Jace frowned. What does that mean? One of you must die, Liren said. The fire crackled. The wind outside grew louder. Syrixa didn't move. Her eyes stared into nothing. Jace said, "No, that's not a choice. There has to be another way." "There isn't," Liren said sadly. "I've tried." The bond feeds on emotion, on meaning. Only the strongest act can break it. The greatest sacrifice. Jace stepped away, pacing. "There has to be something else. You're the scientist." "I'm telling you the truth," Liren said. "If you want freedom, one life must end." Then Syrixa stood. "I'll do it," she said quietly. Jace spun around. "What?" She looked at him, eyes full of peace and sadness. "You didn't choose this life. You were taken because of me. You've suffered because of this bond. Let me give you your freedom." "No." Jace shook his head. "You're not doing that." Syrixa smiled, but it was weak. "You don't understand? I do understand." He snapped. "For once, I do. You think I've been fighting to break this thing? But I haven't." She blinked. "I've been fighting because I didn't want to be used, not by collars or priests or anyone. But you," he pointed to her. "Chest, you never used me. You chose to fight with me, and that means something." The firelight danced between them. Syrixa whispered, "I felt your heart, Jace. Even when you were silent. Even when you were scared. The bond doesn't lie." "I don't want to be free from you," he said. Then he turned to Liren. "I want to be free from them. Can you help us do that?" Liren hesitated. Then slowly, he nodded. "There may be one more way," he said. "But it's dangerous. You must face the bond from the inside. Go into the mental core together. If you survive, you may control it." "Survive what?" Jace asked. "Your deepest emotions," Liren said. "The bond will make you face your worst fears and your strongest feelings." Jace and Syrixa looked at each other. No more running, no more hiding, just choice. They both stepped forward and held hands. The collars flared bright white. Liren placed a small silver crystal between them. "When this glows, close your eyes. The bond will take you inside." Jace squeezed Syrixa's hand. "Ready?" She smiled softly. "As long as you don't let go." The crystal pulsed, and the world faded. They found themselves in a white void. No sky, no ground. Just endless space. Then it changed. A dark hallway appeared in front of Jace's old ship, twisted, broken. Bodies of friends littered the floor. He heard screaming. It's guilt. His helplessness. He turned. Syrixa was gone. He ran down the hallway, calling her name. At the end, he found her, crying alone in a cage. Not a metal one. A cage of shame. She looked up at him. "They told me I was a mistake, so that no one would ever bond with me willingly. That I was unworthy." Jace stepped forward. He touched the cage. It vanished. He knelt beside her. "You're not unworthy. You're brave. You didn't run away. You stayed." The world around them began to change. Again light poured in. Their collars glowed gold. Then, everything shattered. They woke up in each other's arms. Liren stood nearby, eyes wide. "You did it." Jace looked at Syrixa, and Syrixa smiled. Truly, this time, the collars were still there. But they weren't glowing with control. They were glowing with choice. The sky above Aurak Prime lit up like a sunrise made of lightning dot from deep within space. The final priest ship arrived. Larger than a mountain, silent, not flying, hovering like a god made of black metal. It didn't shoot. It didn't warn. It simply opened its underside and dropped a tower of shadow to the ground. The final temple, the heart of the priests. Jace stood on the ridge of a hill, the wind blowing his coat back. Syrixa stood beside him, her eyes locked on the ship. There. Collars glowed gold, soft, steady, No more pain. No more control. Liren stood behind them. "This is it," he said. "This is where the priests sleep and feed." Jace looked down at the glowing tower. "Then let's wake them up." Styraxa turned to him. "Once we enter, there's no coming back. They'll try to break us apart." Jace reached for her hand. "Let them try." They walked down the hill together. Inside the temple, the world bent. It wasn't made of stone or metal but of thought. The walls changed as they moved, sometimes glass, sometimes blood, sometimes stars. Whispering voices filled the air. "Break the bond, he will betray. She will leave. We're never meant to trust." Syrinx's grip tightened. "They're trying to plant doubt," she said. Jace shook his head. "It's too late for that." They walked into a wide chamber, empty, cold, silent, and then the shadows moved. From the center, something rose. A figure, tall and terrible-shaped like a person, but made of threads and smoke. Its collar glowed red, then Black Dot, the first priest. "You dare enter our mind," it said, voice made of 10,000 thoughts. "We didn't enter," Jace replied. "We broke in." The priest raised its hands. Chains of light lashed toward them. Syrinxa raised her wings, now fully golden, and shielded them. The chains melted in her aura. "You no longer control us," she said. "The bond is ours now." Priest's voice turned sharp. "You turned connection into rebellion. You poisoned the system." Jace stepped forward. "You fed on pain, fear, control. But what happens when the bond feeds on hope?" The ground cracked. Light burst from there. Colors bright, blinding. A wave of emotion exploded from them, everything they had lived through. Their pain, yes, but also trust, growth, sacrifice. Choice. The chamber couldn't hold it. The shadows screamed. The first priest stumbled backward, threads unraveling. Jace reached into the bond. He felt Syrex's heart. Her fear, her strength, her courage. He opened his own in return, and then together they let go. Not of each other, but of the fear, the guilt, the chains. A final wave of golden light surged out, swallowing the room, the ship, the priests, and then, silence. They woke. On the ground outside the temple. The ship in the sky was gone, vanished like smoke. The tower had crumbled. The planet was still. Liren ran to them. "You did it. The bond signal. It's gone from the network. All collars across the galaxy, they've stopped glowing." Syrinxa sat up slowly, blinking. Jace stood and looked at his collar. It was still there, but it was quiet now. No glow, no pressure. Just a simple silver ring. Syrinxa touched hers too. "We're free," she whispered. Jace looked at her. "She can go anywhere now." She smiled gently. "So can you." He stepped closer. "Do you want to?" She paused, then said, softly, "No." They stood there, under the stars of a newly silent world. No chains, no pain, still tied. But only by choice. Syrinxa looked at him, her voice soft. "Forever tied to me, human. But now, you can leave." Jace smiled. "I don't want to." She smiled back. "Then stay."